The year is 2025. The world watches as the United States dismantles the United States Agency for International Development, better known as USAID. Founded in 1961 by President John F. Kennedy, USAID was a testament to America's commitment to global development. For over 6 decades, USAID provided vital assistance in times of crisis. From Haiti to Africa, USAID was a beacon of hope. Its programs provided clean water, education, healthcare, and economic opportunity. Under President Donald Trump, USAID was dismantled, its funding slashed, and its staff dismissed. This closure, driven by isolationist ideology, has sent shockwaves across the world. President Trump's decision to shutter USAID represents the culmination of a long-held disdain for foreign aid, which he has consistently derided as wasteful and ineffective. Trump's America First doctrine, a narrow-minded worldview that prioritizes American interests above all else, views foreign aid as an unnecessary drain on American resources, a handout to undeserving recipients. The administration has repeatedly pointed to isolated examples of alleged mismanagement and wasteful spending within USAID, cherry-picking cases to fit a predetermined narrative of bureaucratic bloat and foreign aid futility. One such example was a grant program for LGBTQ groups in Serbia, touted by the White House as evidence of USAID's misplaced priorities. Similarly, an initiative promoting electric vehicles in Vietnam was held up as a prime example of wasteful spending that did little to advance American interests. These isolated incidents, however, paint a deeply misleading picture of USAID's overall impact. The agency has a long and demonstrably successful track record of delivering aid effectively and efficiently, saving countless lives and improving the livelihoods of millions. Moreover, Trump's comparison of USAID to the UK's Department for International Development, which was merged with the Foreign Office in 2020, is deeply flawed. The UK merger was widely criticized for diminishing the UK's development expertise and diluting its focus on global poverty reduction. President Trump's unilateral decision to shut down USAID has not been met with universal acceptance. In fact, it has triggered a wave of legal challenges and accusations of constitutional overreach. Critics argue that the closure of USAID, a body specifically created and mandated by Congress through the Foreign Assistance Act of 1961, represents a blatant disregard for the separation of powers and an attempt to circumvent the legislative process. Legal experts argue that the president does not have the authority to unilaterally dismantle an agency established by Congress. The power of the purse ultimately rests with Congress, and any attempt to redirect or eliminate funding for USAID without congressional approval could be deemed unconstitutional. Democrats have been particularly vocal in their opposition, with many accusing the Trump administration of instigating a constitutional crisis. They argue that the closure of USAID sets a dangerous precedent, granting the executive branch unchecked power to dismantle essential government agencies without any oversight or accountability. As legal challenges wind their way through the courts, the future of USAID, and indeed the future of American foreign policy, hangs precariously in the balance. The Trump administration's justification for closing USAID hinges on the perceived burden of foreign aid on the American taxpayer. The agency's annual budget, approximately $40 billion in 2023, is often cited as wasteful spending. However, this is less than 1% of the total U.S. government budget of $4.4 trillion. USAID's funding is minimal compared to defense spending, which topped $700 billion. The U.S. spends more on its military in a week than on USAID in a year. This raises questions about the administration's priorities and commitment to global challenges. The closure of USAID has sent shockwaves across the globe, but nowhere are its effects felt more acutely than in Asia. As the world's most populous and fastest-growing region, Asia has been a major beneficiary of USAID's development assistance for decades. USAID's work in Asia has focused on a wide range of critical areas, including health, education, economic growth, and disaster relief. In the realm of health, USAID has played a pivotal role in combating infectious diseases, improving maternal and child health, and strengthening healthcare systems across the region. From eradicating polio in India to combating HIV/AIDS in Thailand, USAID's contributions to public health in Asia are undeniable. Beyond health, USAID has been instrumental in expanding access to education and vocational training, particularly for girls and marginalized communities. The agency has supported the construction of schools, trained teachers, and provided scholarships to countless students, empowering them to break the cycle of poverty and contribute to their communities. The closure of USAID threatens to derail this progress, jeopardizing the futures of millions of children and undermining the region's long-term economic prospects. Section 6. Enter the dragon: China's opportunity in a post-USAID Asia. The vacuum left by USAID's withdrawal from Asia has created a strategic opportunity for other global players, most notably China. China, with its rapidly growing economy and increasingly assertive foreign policy, has been steadily expanding its influence in Asia through its Belt and Road Initiative and other ambitious infrastructure projects. With USAID out of the picture, China is well positioned to fill the void, using its economic clout to win over governments and expand its footprint across the region. China's development model, however, differs significantly from that of the United States. While USAID has traditionally focused on promoting democracy, human rights, and good governance alongside its development assistance, China's approach is more pragmatic, prioritizing economic development and strategic partnerships over ideological considerations. This raises concerns that China's growing influence in Asia could come at the expense of democratic values and human rights. Moreover, China's development assistance often comes with strings attached, including debt traps and pressure to toe the line on geopolitical issues. This could leave countries in the region increasingly beholden to Beijing, further consolidating China's dominance and potentially undermining U.S. interests in the region. Section 7. A global health crisis: the far-reaching consequences of USAID's closure. The impact of USAID's closure extends far beyond the borders of Asia, with potentially devastating consequences for global health. For decades, USAID has been at the forefront of the fight against infectious diseases, playing a critical role in eradicating polio, combating HIV/AIDS, and containing outbreaks of deadly diseases like Ebola. The agency's sudden disappearance has disrupted vital health programs worldwide, leaving millions vulnerable to preventable diseases. The halt in malaria vaccine distribution in Africa, for instance, could lead to a resurgence of this deadly disease, reversing years of progress and costing countless lives. Similarly, the disruption of USAID's HIV/AIDS programs, which provide life-saving antiretroviral drugs to millions worldwide, threatens to unravel decades of progress in the fight against this global pandemic. The agency's absence is also being felt in the realm of famine prevention, with the shutdown of the Famine Early Warning System hindering efforts to predict and respond to food crises around the world. Section 8. The human cost, poverty, inequality, and the erosion of hope. Beyond the geopolitical implications and the disruption of vital programs, the closure of USAID carries a profound human cost. For millions of people around the world, particularly in developing countries, USAID represents a lifeline, a source of hope, and a path to a better future. The agency's work in areas like education, healthcare, and economic development has empowered countless individuals to break the cycle of poverty and build better lives for themselves and their families. The sudden withdrawal of this support has left millions in a state of uncertainty and despair. Women and children, who often bear the brunt of poverty and inequality, are particularly vulnerable to the fallout from USAID's closure. The agency's programs aimed at promoting gender equality, empowering women, and improving maternal and child health have been instrumental in advancing the rights and well-being of women and girls around the world. The loss of these programs threatens to reverse this progress, leaving women and girls even more vulnerable to exploitation, abuse, and discrimination. The closure of USAID represents not just a policy shift, but a fundamental erosion of hope, a betrayal of America's commitment to the world's most vulnerable people, and a stain on its moral conscience. Section 9. America's Retreat, National Security and the Price of Soft Power. The closure of USAID marks a fundamental shift in American foreign policy, retreating from global engagement and leadership. USAID has been a vital instrument of American soft power, building goodwill and advancing interests worldwide. Its assistance has earned the U.S. invaluable allies, promoting stability in volatile regions. Abandoning USAID ceded ground to rivals like China and Russia. This retreat has significant national security implications, failing to address global instability risks, creating a more dangerous world. The closure of USAID could make America more vulnerable, undermining its security.